Tips that the teams had with each other, as well as the overall attitude of all the players, seemed to be a little bit more show more camaraderie than some other more physical contact sports. Described it as relaxing, but it wasn't as, I don't know how to describe it, active and intense as football. To see how some of the strategies play out in game. I kind of always assumed that you just try to go for it every time, but it's interesting to see batters choose to not swing so that they can try to get a better situation for their other players. I'm going to be honest, I was much more interested in the writing and art aspects of the reading this week versus the actual sports. I don't tend to follow lots of sports, especially not baseball. I have no clue, really, how the game is fully played still. But it was fun listening to the radio on it with my girlfriend and trying to root for the teams that we had chosen. The line that resonated with me a lot was, "It's no great tilling, but those old restrictions on reporting seem to say that you can't put yourself in the piece and you can't betray emotion." This was something that I struggled a lot with when I started writing. It was very hard to keep a neutral tone and just be perfectly objective without putting any of your own experiences or emotion into the writing, which is why I've had so much more fun writing in college, where we're a little bit encouraged more to find our own voice and put our own thoughts and feelings and experiences into the piece. That quote because of its relatability. I don't work specifically with writing as much, but in my own paintings and things, I know that there's been quite a few times where I put the sealant coat on to finish it and then noticed, oh, tiny little mistake, tiny little detail, and just had to spend another 2 hours. My paintings usually end up having 3 or 4 coats of gloss spray on them because I finished them over and over again. The passage I chose for this video was from page 134, lines 32 to 38. As I recall, when he'd close himself in his study all day, he'd come out for lunch looking pale, and he wouldn't speak. Then he'd go back in there. He'd mail it off in the late afternoon, then half the time. He'd try to get back in because he thought it wasn't good enough. Of course it was good enough, but I recognized the impulse. Every writer understands that. Writing is hard. It's really hard. Maybe he should have told me to turn back before it was too late. It was pretty fun for us to each pick a team that we were super committed to. We tried to give us some emotional investment in it, since we weren't super into sports. We made it a challenge where each of us would have to do a dare that the other chose if our team lost, just so that we would be a little bit more into it for rooting and paying attention.